Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and one of the really cool things I get to do now as like one of the larger creators in the Halo community is I get to showcase new things that the fans and the community are creating. New content creators, new fan creations, new forges. It's nice being in the position that I am and being a larger creator that I get to bring the wider community's attention to cool stuff happening in the Halo community. And that's kind of inspired my recent decision to start doing like a kind of a community corner or a community spotlight or showcase series that I'll do monthly, where I look at all the different things that the fans and community have created within the Halo universe. And today is one of those days where I get the opportunity to present to you something pretty unique. And today we're looking at Raptor by Sparrow Films. They've recently released a trailer for Season 1 of their new kind of animated series. And I wanted to go over that trailer, kind of dive into it, look at the lore references and things that are going on in the trailer, and kind of give a live reaction to the trailer as I watch it. So this is an opportunity for me to show something cool going on in the community to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it.
Initial plans for the Spartan 3 program were ambitious. Their goal? To fill the rapidly diminishing supply of super soldiers, rolling them out by the thousands with new, cost-effective Spartans, prepped and ready to deploy on high-risk missions. From the candidates emerged warriors, whose appraised potential surpassed that of sacrificial pawns. Mankind teeters on the brink of oblivion. Threatened by the Covenant's onslaught, they stand resolute and prepared to lose everything. They fight, desperately, trading lives for more time. But the embers of opposition smolder across space. While most have put their differences aside to face a common enemy, others take advantage of the chaos to advance their own agenda. If the human race is to avoid extinction, the flames of insurrection must be extinguished by any means necessary.
Okay, so sort of going scene by scene, the opening cutscene shows Camp Kurihi on Onyx. It's always a little bit strange to think, obviously if you haven't read the Ghost of Onyx you wouldn't know this, but it's been like nearly 15 years since Ghost of Onyx launched, so if you don't know this by now, you know, I'm not holding spoilers anymore. Onyx is an artificial planet made of like a lattice work of Onyx Sentinels, like a very specific subset of Sentinels. So it's always strange seeing Onyx and knowing that just below the surface it's all just artificial, it's just a matrix of nothingness. The actual style of Camp Kurihi that's been used here is... There are elements of it that are reminiscent of the concept art for the Halo Encyclopedia for Camp Kurihi, but I can see much more influence in this style from the Halo TV show's interpretation of Camp Kurihi. especially with the large like domed structure with the hexagonal surface and the Roman statue towards the front of Camp Currahee. Moving on from that, we get Spartan 3s lined up wearing their grey SPI armour, and then this green Absolute unit stood in front of them. Now, that can be no one other than Kurt 051. Kurt 051 is a Spartan 2 who was technically abducted by Oni in order to train the Spartan 3s. It was all very hush-hush. It's a black project, and no one needed to know about it, not even the other Spartan 2s. And it's obvious that it's Kurt, even though he's not wearing Mjolnir armor, because that's sort of the armor of the Spartan 2s. He's wearing a green SPI armor, but it's the fact that he's so much bigger than the other Spartans. So all the Spartan 3s here are probably around, not far off the 7 foot tall mark. They're probably around sort of 6'9" to 6'11" maybe. But Kurt is known in the lore as being one of the tallest Spartans. I think even in the new encyclopedia, so in the old encyclopedia, he was listed at being 8'2" in height, 8'4" in his armor, but even in the new one, he's 7'7". So, I mean, he's an absolute unit. Moving on from this, it's fantastic to see the CQC on display between two Spartan 3s here, so hand-to-hand combat. Like I said, they're wearing their silver or grey SPI armor, which is much more in keeping with what was traditionally expected as being for the Spartan 3s from the Ghosts of Onyx. They were in grey armor as opposed to like a green armor, because it had photoreactive panels and things like that built onto the armor to make it wasn't like perfect active camouflage. It just sort of softened the silhouette. You were like semi-transparent almost. You look like a ghost. So seeing them in the grey armor rather than the conventional green that so many of us have grown so used to seeing on Spartans, either the newer Spartans or the older Spartans. So the canonical accuracy of that is really good to see. You can sort of see them training here in the deep forests of Onyx, and I believe during training they were using tactical training rounds, which were a special type of like wax round that would turn to like soft wax upon impact, but also has like a paralyzing agent and interacts with like the fatigues and stuff that the trainees would wear, and it would effectively like paralyze a portion of their body. And seize the fatigues up with like nano wires or something like that to prevent them from moving, to simulate like a battlefield injury. But of course, in this one, they're using their armor, that's fine. It's not entirely canonically accurate to what they were training, to when they were training. And then we see the 4 individuals of Raptor in their SPI, and then a nice transition to their respective unique Mjolnir variants. Because again, that's canonically accurate. There were groups of Spartan 3s who were particularly proficient or particularly good at certain things. They were pulled out of the main rank and file before they were sent off to like their respective... They call them suicide missions. They were never actually fully like suicide missions. They were just like high-risk missions. The fact that there was very low survival rate made them quote-unquote suicide missions, but they were never actually vetted at being, that's what we're sending you there for. And there are so many Spartan 3s that pulling quite a few different individuals and groups out of the main rank and file wouldn't massively reduce the numbers of the Spartan 3s of each respective class. Most of the companies of the Spartan 3s had 300 members, but I think a couple of the more recent classes, they even approved more funding for them. So I think the largest company was like 335 individuals, which is cool. Next we get a cool look at some Prowler class vessels on their way to evidently a Covenant. It looks like a Covenant asteroid, and it's got like rings around it which have generated like an energy shield around it. So this is probably where some of their fuel refineries were. So this is probably covering the Operation Torpedo, as I recall it was. It's not how I envisaged it in my head when I read the Ghosts of Onyx, but this design is beautiful. I really like this. The next thing I want to focus in on here is the news report that's going on. So it's evidently insurrectionist news, so to speak, that they're publicising across, I suppose, the BNet or Waypoint. It's more than likely to be Waypoint, to be honest, because I think BNet is the actual battle net of the UNSC, so this will be Waypoint. Seeing them taking over a UNSC garrison within an orbital elevator, which is interesting to see. And you can see kind of blurred images of bodies, I would assume, on the floor, and people cheering, and it's all part of the insurrectionist propaganda. I mean, they even throw another person off the top of the orbital elevator. So I like it because, again, the Spartan 2 specifically were conceived as being a counter to insurrectionists, to rebels. But rather, the Spartan 3s were conceived as being a direct counter to the Covenant, because the Covenant War had already started by the time the Spartan 3s came into existence. So to pivot them again and have them against insurrectionists is an interesting choice. But again, as far as I can recall, a lot of the deep lore says that a lot of the missions that were performed by isolated Spartan 3 individuals or teams in Mjolnir armor on different colonies were attributed to the Spartan 2s to help with the propaganda and the war effort and morale. So it's entirely possible, even though these are Spartan 3s, in the broader news, it would have been reported, oh, the Spartan 2s did this, that, and the other. Moving on here, and we haven't have a jump forward in time. It's I can't tell from the design language whether or not this is the same space elevator as the one that was in the news report, but I suppose it's heavily implied. You know, there's UNSC soldiers dead outside, and then Raptor arrive to infiltrate and I suppose take back the space elevator. There are insurrectionists inside. The insurrectionists are obviously, they're wearing kind of kit-bashed UNSC resources, because again, the insurrectionists were relatively poorly armed and didn't have access to great resources and this, that, and the other, so it makes sense they would scavenge what they can from felled UNSC forces and the like. So yeah, to see them wearing UNSC armor and things like that, not entirely surprising. Next we get this insurrectionist who's desperately trying to hack into the systems or maybe overwrite the security systems and try to keep the Spartans out somehow. Maybe he's just trying to look for information or data mining or something like that. The facial animations are probably a little bit over exaggerated in places. Could perhaps be scaled back just a tad, just to add to the realism, and just some of the there's a moment where he sort of walks away from the table, stops, and kind of looks back behind him and pivots and moves on again. And I think that he perhaps lingers just a little bit too long, or the stance isn't entirely natural. It's still phenomenal. Again, I don't know if this is mocap or if this is like animated through wireframes and you know, sort of animation skeletons, so to speak. If it's mocap, I would just suggest that whoever it was who mocapped this particular scene perhaps just tries to smooth things out a little bit, make things look a little less deliberate, so to speak. This guy is obviously, he's stressed. He's doing he's doing this hacking work against the clock, so to speak. He knows Spartans coming. The reputation of the Spartans is like legendary across the insurrectionists. You know, they are massively they're like monsters. There's horror stories and fairy tales told to like insurrectionist children about the Spartans. So they are like boogeymen. So his stress levels right now would be through the roof. So his really like kind of deliberate pausing and things like that wouldn't be a natural fit for his state of mind at this time. He would be extremely vexed. His movement should perhaps be a little bit more darting. But I'm nitpicking. This is just my over analysis, I suppose. I'm prone to it. So again, I mean no offense to anybody who animated this or any of the team that are involved with this, because you have done phenomenal work. This is me just doing my stupid, over the top attention to detail kind of stuff. I mean, if you know my channel, that's what I thrive on. Then we get the final Raptor title screen, and then a little post cutscene that shows the ready room of the ODSTs. The holographic animation in the background is phenomenal, very in keeping with the UNSC's holotables and the graphical representations and kind of the layer height lines and things like that on. It's really, really good work. Hard to say specifically what we're looking at in that hologram, whether it's a UNSC facility or if it's a city or whatever the case may be. It's hard to tell. I think obviously the focus of this scene was more so the ODST helmets on the side, because that's what's in focus. Meanwhile, the hologram behind is slightly out of focus, so I completely understand that maybe that isn't to be revealed yet. And then we have this interesting interpretation of the ready room for the ODST. So these, I think, trying to look at it, I think these are the older human entry vehicle style drop pods. I don't think they're the ones that we see from Halo ODST, the ones with the panel that can kind of fold open but also kind of eject if it needs to. These are the older ones that we saw like in Amber Clad in Halo 2. So seeing these armature systems physically engaging the plate door onto the front of the ODST drop pod is really nice, because obviously once you land, they're explosively ejected. It would make sense they're completely separate components for the HEVs. And then we get the final launch, and then our fade to black for Season 1. All in all, it's kind of quite an action-packed trailer, and it world builds really nicely and kind of gives you the scope and scale of the story that they're telling. The kind of the larger background things that are going on in this particular story, but also they're narrowing in on the respective team, so to speak, that they're going to be following. All in all, really love the trailer. It's captivating, it grabs me. Really great choice of music. The animation, apart from like small little facial animation, things like that, is phenomenal. Again, I'd love to know if it was mocap or if it's actually like, piece by piece animation or frame by frame animation. But yeah, it looks phenomenal. I'd strongly recommend if you think it looks as good as I do, because it does. It looks strikingly good. That's the thing now. I think it's becoming more and more common that the fans are creating such high fidelity content now for the Halo universe. I suppose the tools and the resources that are now available for people are, strikingly more powerful and strikingly better than they used to be. So, this level of like animation and mocap and design and stuff was like, I'd imagine Bungie would be craving after this when they were making like Halo 2, even elements of it for Halo 3 as well. So the fact that we're sort of 15 years down the line, and now these resources are available to just your average fan is remarkable, and the quality that we're getting out of these kind of fan creations now is just off the charts. It's fantastic to see. So if you like what you've seen, I've got links down below to watch the full trailer over on their channel, but I've also got links to their Discord if you want to ask questions and things like that. And yeah, altogether, well done guys, phenomenal work. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm sure there's some phenomenally good things ahead for your team. I hope this becomes like almost kind of an accredited kind of stamp of approval, Halo Studios kind of approval thing, because it would make sense. I mean, there's so many fan creations now, like Forge maps and things like that the people have created, that the studio have effectively put their stamp of approval on and delivered to the masses. It'd be great if they started doing that beyond just like Forge maps and things like that, and started doing animations and things like that. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, I'm psyched. It looks awesome. I'm looking forward to it. All relevant links in the description down below. Well done, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to tap that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Pop a comment down below on things you'd like me to cover in the future, or any thoughts on today's video. I'll just quickly take this opportunity to thank my patrons and YouTube supporters: Falcon X003, the singular Contender class Ancilla, Laser and Spartan 0137, two of the triumvirate of mines within the Metarch of my installation. My installation's monitors: Shane, Orion, Spartan 1029, 121 Esoteric Sight, Ashley and Sophia. The creche of sub-monitors: Legion, Ryan, Labrat, Element Zero, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger Cult, Evermore's, Personal Devil, Scion Esports, Phantasma and Tony. My fleet of Strato Sentinels. My most loyal of Enforcers. And every single one of the awesome individuals helping to support the channel over on Patreon. It really does help and allows me to keep doing what I do, and I can't thank you all enough. Huge shout to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members Balaz, Jimbo and Mori. Thank you for continuing to stand sentry over my installation from all threats metaphysical. And if you would like to help support the channel in a more visceral way, consider jumping aboard as a YouTube member or patron to earn tons of perks, merch and goodies along the way. Thank you again for watching. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.